They say that in 25 years' time, we will develop an ultimate technology. They say it will fulfill our every material need, our every desire. They say this utopia will arrive when manufacturing reaches a fundamental limit. When technology can rearrange the world, atom by atom. They call it nanotechnology. Atoms are far smaller than anything we can see. They bond together to form everything within us and around us. By gaining control of the atoms that make up our world, in theory we could make anything and everything. Ultimately, nature's design could be redrafted, nanometer by nanometer, to suit our own purposes.
Once you have complete control of the atomic structure of matter, that gives you all sorts of other technological dreams of pollution-free industry and converting the universe into something a little nicer to live in. And after that, what happens? I don't know. Possibly we will have come to the other end of technological history and we'll have it all. Some of the implications still give me the heebie-jeebies, because I am, after all, only human, and my daughter is only human, and she's going to be probably a young woman when this stuff comes along. I'll be an old geezer. Let's go in the house and see Mommy. Up you go. Look what's up there. My father, Richard Feynman, was the first person to foresee the possibility of mechanically pushing around individual atoms. In 1959, he gave a talk called "There's Plenty of Room at the Bottom," suggesting the possibility of building small machines small enough to push around individual atoms, and that you would thereby someday be able to make pretty much any chemical or material or substance you might want. And as I was growing up, I was probably the only child in the Western world who thought this was a perfectly reasonable idea.
During Carl's childhood, Feynman, one of the foremost physicists of this century, funded the first small step towards the final goal of nanometer-sized machines. He held a contest with a prize of $1,000 to build a motor that measured just 0.5 millimeter on each side. The prize money was collected within a year by a hobbyist, and gave Carl his first sight of the future of machines. His father had realized that miniaturization was an underlying trend in technology, and that nanotechnology was inevitable.
The principles of physics do not speak against the possibility of moving things atom by atom. It is something, in principle, that can be done. But in practice, it has not been done because we are too big.
Some of the things you can imagine doing with nanotechnology are fairly peculiar. For example, you can slide around windows on a computer screen easily enough, but you could also slide around the windows on your house if the walls were made out of smart materials that would get out of the way when you move the window. And you can imagine embedding a lot of computing power in very simple things like that child's toy, maybe enough that it would notice as you walk by and do something appropriate.
Hi, Carl.
It sounds like science fiction, but then landing on the moon sounded like science fiction, too, in the 1930s. And people who really looked at the question at that time knew that landing on the moon was possible because you could work out the engineering details of the fuels and the forces and the temperatures and so on. And we can work out the forces and the energies and so on for moving atoms around and think about what that implies. And the conclusion you come to sounds like science fiction, but none of the steps along the way are anything but science.
Today, using beams of electricity,